Done. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the proposed bond issue. And I am going to step down from this public hearing because I am on the board of the Friends of Pop Whalen, and I have been fundraising for them, and I believe that puts me in a conflict of interest. So I'm going to turn this over to Dave Senecal.
Okay, is this microphone working?
No. No, it's on.
Now?
These aren't working either.
Hello? Hello?
Yep.
Okay. Works now. Okay, we will get that figured out as we move forward. Going to go through a brief slide presentation. I'm going to try to cover as much as I possibly can relative to the project at Pop Whalen Ice and Art Center. There's been some significant changes that have happened over the past 2 years and even more over the past couple of months. We have a couple of people here to support us this evening as we go through this. We have two representatives from Cci Construction. They will be the construction managing firm that will take this project on. We have the Friends of Pop Whalen, who will give some information relative to where they're at with their fundraising on this project and what the vision of this going forward is. So I'll quickly read the warrant article. There has been some significant changes due to pricing, which we just discovered early to mid last week. So the numbers are high, but I think we are going to go through a presentation that justifies how this will work. So warrant article 11, Pop Whalen Renovation Expansion Project Bond. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,972,951 for the purpose of structural replacement, expansion, renovation, and equipment replacement at the Pop Whalen Ice Arena. Further, to authorize the issuance of not more than 4.272951 in bonds. That's $4,272,951 in bonds or notes for this purpose in accordance with the provisions of RSA 33, the Municipal Finance Act. Further, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept at least $2.7 million in donations from the Friends of Pop Whalen for this purpose. Further, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds or notes and determine the rate of interest thereon, and the maturity and other terms thereof, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply, obtain, and accept federal, state, or other aid, grants, and donations, if any, which may be available for said project, and that may reduce the amount to bond and to comply with all the laws applicable to said project. and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to take any other action or to pass any other vote relative thereto. This warrant article still requires New Hampshire Department of Revenue review. This warrant article, when it goes to the warrant, if the board so chooses to put it on this evening, it'll require a 3/5 majority to pass. So, Pop Whale and Ice Arena. 2019 master plan refers to the Pop Whale and Ice Arena in the Community Facilities chapter on page 53. Pop Whale and Ice Arena has potential for becoming an important element to the town's drive toward a four-season economy. The Natural Resources chapter goal, Wolfeboro needs to continue to provide recreational opportunities in all seasons of the year for our residents and guests. The implementation chapter, goal number 2, plan for newly constructed or expanded facilities, and specifically 2.6, develop a Pop Whale and Ice Arena into a four-season recreational facility on page 186. So the Pop Whale and Ice Arena is located with the Abenaki ski area. There's a significant amount of year-round activity that takes place at that location, whether it's skiing, hockey-related activities, skating, and whatnot. The hopes are to be able to increase the length of those hockey and skating times of year, and to be able to use the facility year-round, which now we really aren't able to. A little bit of the building history. So the original building was constructed in 1987. Front lobby addition occurred in 1990. There was some roof damage resulted from snow in 2001, where there was significant repairs done to the facility. The chiller was also replaced. 2007, there was a bond for new floorboards and lights. There was ADA updates which occurred throughout the town, including at the arena. Sprinkler system was installed. In 2017, we replaced a boiler for heat and hot water in the front of the building. 2020, we did some repairs to the roof over that lobby area. And in 2021, we replaced the boiler that heats water for the Zamboni in the back of the building. That was a propane unit. In 2014, I believe it was the Friends of Pop Whalen began discussing opportunities with the ice arena for expansion. And if you see the area highlighted in blue, that's the area that was proposed for the initial expansion to include some additional office space and some locker rooms. That's basically been the concept of the plan since 2014. So in 2018 for the 2019 CIP process, came forward with a phase 1 approach to looking at doing some siding, roofing, and insulation repairs. The estimated cost was $970,000. That document also outlined power upgrades, which there was a study done on the townwide usage in 2012, an e-ceiling, and a dehumidification unit. Prices were received through Parks and Rec Department based on information they had from previous quotes, and the 2019 CIP submittal was recommended the project moving forward in 2020. Here's a picture of that CIP document, which we have in the office if anybody wants to see it. And here's an example of some of the condensation which is dripping down from the roof structure onto the ice, not making a very pleasant surface to be able to operate from. In 2019, when we went through the CIP process again for 2020, we looked further at that expansion of the siding, roofing, and insulation replacement, and we also considered the dehumidification system based on what you just saw in that previous picture. again, Parks and Recs got the quotes, obtained the quotes, 1.132 million. And that was based on the 2018 CIP with a little additional scope. It was recommended in the 2020 CIP to move forward in 2021, with 2022 being the first year of funding. And here again is a copy of that CIP document, and here's a area of the ice from a roof leak. 2020 CIP process, which took place in 2019, there was a proposal that came forward for renovations and the expansion based on the 2014 design. Pricing was obtained from Cci, and it was an estimated cost of the renovation expansion of $3.2 million, with the Friends of Pop Whalen paying 2.1 and the town paying 1.1. This is a copy of that original price quote that we received from Cci. And again, this was just based on those architectural drawings. There was no engineering that was done at that point. So in 2020, as we approached the 2021 CIP process, again, there was a look at doing siding, roofing, insulation. Parks and Rec was able to find a different provider of the materials to do that and the dehumidification system for $850,000. As we got close to the warrant, we could not get the pricing verified, and as a result, I removed the warrant, the article from the warrant, and I requested that we come forward with $125,000 for engineering and architectural work. Friends of Pop Whalen contributed $100,000 to the engineering and architectural work, and Banwell came on board in the spring of 2021. Again, this is a copy of that CIP form, and this is an example of some of the locker rooms that you'll see up there. Small areas that we have up to 24 kids potentially changing in. So kind of tight quarters for those kids. So as we came into this summer working with Banwell, we came forward with a project in our CIP process. Estimated cost was $3.3 million, with 2.2 to be on the Friends of Pop Whalen, 1.5 to be on the town. In September 2021, we submitted a Phase 1 and Phase 2 documents to the CIP. Phase 1 was the town's portion. Phase 2 was Pop Whalen's. That way, if they didn't have their fundraising complete, we could at least do the renovation portion, being set up to be able to take on the expansion at a future date. This information was put together based on the CCI estimate and updates from the 2019 proposal. We continue to work with architectural, structural, and mechanical engineers, all while the CIP process was taking place. Here's a copy of those CIP documents, again, which we have if you'd like to see them. As we moved through the project, we determined there was some major scope changes which were taking place. The first on-site meeting we had, the first engineering firm we had said the building did not meet current code for snow load, and it couldn't be expanded without extreme modifications. So we had some discussions, and we secured a different structural engineer specializing in metal buildings, and he came in on his firm and under the Banwell contract and did some work. He spent 2 days on site going through, measuring. The main frames of that structure are only adequate to support 40 pounds per square foot uniform snow load. This is a direct quote, as is this. The current code would require a 90 pound per square foot ground snow and a 63 pounds per square foot roof snow load with an unheated building that would be 69.3 pounds per square foot. Also, the code requires an unbalanced snow load of 54 pounds per square foot, additional snow load for 123.3 pounds per square foot total. From the ridge down 17 feet either, the current code also requires pattern loading that the existing purlins will not support. To improve the secondary roofing framing to support the current code requirements, loads would require replacing the original purlins with new purlins to support the required snow load in conjunction with the purlins added in 2001. And that's from a professional engineer. So we looked at the options to be able to strengthen the building. We could weld some additional reinforcements onto the building, but it would barely meet current codes. We'd be doing this on a 35-year-old building. It likely would not provide the snow load capacities required for any additions onto the existing building. All roof purlins would still have to be replaced, and it would require removal of the sprinkler system, and there'd be no opportunity in the future for solar on the roof. This estimated cost is $1.8 million. So what's our problem here? The manufacturer of the existing buildings is no longer in business, required us hiring specialized engineers specializing in metal buildings. We currently don't meet the current codes, therefore we can't expand it. Not easily anyways. Given what we know about the building now, I don't think that we would ever find a contractor who would be willing to put a new roof and siding onto that building given the code deficiencies which have been identified. And I think it would be extremely irresponsible for us to go forward and do that. So demolition and a new building costs are very high. The building must be taken apart piece by piece because we don't want anything dropping and puncturing the concrete or the refrigerated surface. This location also acts as the base of operations for Parks and Rec. And if you haven't had the opportunity to go see the offices for the Director of Parks and Rec and the Assistant Director, I'd encourage you to do that. It's kind of an odd place to work. You got to come from the outside, you go through the lobby, you go into the ice area, and then you go into the offices. It's really not optimal to be able to operate and manage the Parks and Rec. And we are just running into cost escalations at this point. For example, the dehumidification unit in 2019 was $157,000. Today, it's $192,440. So we're just seeing those escalations. So what can we do? We can do nothing. The building will continue to deteriorate. It's going to continue to be extremely inefficient as a building and as headquarters for Parks and Rec or for ice and recreation. It's going to lead to eventual closure of the facility at some point. The existing structure repairs to meet code is expensive with no cost benefit. It's not realistic to do this type of work on a 35-year-old building. So we're looking at replacing the entire structure. It's expensive. It will lead to greater use of the building and the facilities, increased length of ice fall and spring, greater programming for summer events, improved efficiency. It'll be a safe facility for years to come. Right now, we're looking at very attractive interest rates. It'll be equipped to be able to accommodate a solar array in the future, and we've worked out a really good partnership with the Friends of Pop Whalen. Here are some more pictures of the arena. If you look at the glass, is some of the humidity problems. Not able to really watch a game very well. And here you're also looking at some cups on the floor from roof leaks. So the CCI budget that we currently have, we've broken it down. We have the line items. We've got the town cost. We have the expansion costs, optional costs, and what we're going to push onto the enterprise fund. The demolition is expensive. As we referred to earlier, you've got to tear this thing down piece by piece. It's very expensive. As you can see, $333,000 for the removal of the existing building. And then there's some subcategories within that. Site work, the place needs a new well. The well is going to have to happen one way or the other going forward. That's an item that we've pushed onto the enterprise fund to be able to absorb. And we've got this whole budget downstairs if somebody wants it going forward. This goes down through again, looks at who's paying for what as far as the town's expenses, the expansion expense, which is going to be covered by the Friends of Pop Whalen, and the enterprise fund. Pretty straightforward at this point. As you can see, the pre-engineered metal building, $1.3 million. So pretty expensive building, but it really is the right option to go with at this point. It's expensive. We've gone down through this budget. We've tried to clean it up as much as we can. There's not a whole lot of room here. Where we do get into some of the room of being able to make up some funds, hopefully in the future, is pushing some of this onto the enterprise fund. So we are pushing the update to the existing cooling tower onto the enterprise fund, the dehumidification unit, removal of Zamboni equipment and whatnot, and the controls for the dehumidification and HVAC system. We're pushing about $750,000 onto the enterprise fund off of the taxpayer. So what's that mean for us? The town is going to be responsible in the bond for $4.272 million, with $3,549,202, or 84% of this will fall on the tax rate. $723,749, or 17%, will fall on the enterprise fund. We ran 20 versus 30-year bonds. We calculated it out based on a percentage across the enterprise fund. The first year payment for the enterprise fund is $59,500 on a 20-year note at 2.5%, and that would be a 12-cent impact on the tax rate in year one of the bond, which we're anticipating to be 23 or 24. And then it drops to 10 cents from there on out. We looked at the 30-year bond. The interest rate is estimated at 3%, and there really wasn't enough benefit to go with the 30-year bond. We'd be spending an extra $800,000 in interest. So can the Pop Whalen Arena afford that money? The enterprise bond payment in 2023 would be estimated just under $60,000. In July, we did a rate update, and that rate update indicated that we were looking at potentially making $42,000 in 2022 and $60,000+ in 2023. The Friends of Pop Whalen, in their business plan, which they'll talk about momentarily, their numbers for 2022 are very close to ours, which verifies what we came up with through our rates. But with the expansion, they're looking at significantly more money. I believe that's $110,000 in year one of the projected revenues. So the final project and design that we're looking at is the whole building comes down, other than the front lobby. It gets renovated to a new front lobby, and the new structure gets put on with the locker rooms, meets code, and we'll have a building that the community can be proud of for years to come. That's the bulk of what I have at this point. With that said, I'd like to hand it over to the Friends of Pop Whalen to go over their business plan with you. Victor?
Thank you, Victor Druin with Friends of Pop Whalen. I have with me Kurt DeVilder. Tom Roberts is our treasurer. Linda Murray is here, and Peter Gilligan with Brewster Academy. They're still in the bubble, so Peter was unable to make it tonight. We also have quite a few members of the Back Bay coaching staff and some players that skipped practice tonight here, I think. But basically to support the project and to see what's going on and get some more information themselves. So I've been on this project now probably for 10 or 11 years, started it at Back Bay, and eventually we formed in 2019 officially the Friends of Pop Whalen, and we brought this to you before. The project that you see that Jim just laid out really is no different than the project that we saw all summer. However, through the engineering phase, the one number that changed was the fact that the structure failed. The physical framing of the building failed, which caused $1.8 million essentially to either upgrade it or take the old shell down and put a new box over it. The nice part of this is that we get to save the old foundation, the chiller, the floor, all the sprinkler riser. There's a lot of, probably $2 million worth of infrastructure that we don't have to touch because we were fortunate enough to find an engineer that would look at this thing and come up with an alternate design without tearing out all that construction and making this a brand new project turnkey, essentially. So that's, for us, we think that was a huge win, but that's, when you look at the numbers compared to what we talked about over the summer, that's the difference. I think our numbers when we came in August, we were talking about 4.7, and you add the 1.8 to it, and we're at 6.5, and then due to inflation, we have a $400,000 contingency just for further inflation because we have no idea what's ahead of us over the next 12 months. So the numbers that we presented minus that building engineering issue were the same. So we created a business plan. Tom Roberts, and we'll probably come up and talk to you more about it, but we spent a lot of time with Kathy Carpentier, Parks and Rec, Christine, going through it and looking at what does the town charge, how do you get your money, how can we increase it, and there are a lot of there are some things in there that currently that the town doesn't really actively market for banners and board space and advertising in the rink, and so there is some in there that. As we've started, as the Friends of Pop has already gone out, started to collect money for the renovation, we're already bringing in new advertisers, and it's pretty clear that we're going to be able to take what was $4,000 a year in revenue from advertising and make that, $50,000. So we also think with a new building, you're going to be able to advertise the Zamboni, the center ice, and get premium advertising dollars for those. So suffice it to say, we took a 6-year look back on this rink, which is in your package. Over the last 6 years, this rink has operated flat. It doesn't make money, it doesn't lose money, but it's lost $5,000, $5,300 over the course of the last 6 years total. And as you go forward, if we can create, advertising revenue, if we can host tournaments, we think we're going to add well over $100,000 annually in additional revenue on top of the fact that we're going to be able to use the facility for more than 5.5 months. So all the money, this building right now, you derive your entire budget through 5.5 months of effort out there. So if our goal would be to extend the hockey season a couple weeks on either side, that's 20% of additional revenue just in ice rental, on top of the tournaments that would be able to be hosted if we were able to complete the expansion plus the advertising revenue. So the other thing that the building would gain is the fact that we've had a building that's uninsulated. There's absolutely no controls on this thing. You know, the metal walls, the metal skin is the exterior wall. So the indoor temperature is the outdoor temperature, which is great if it's cold and not so great if it's warm, or which is, you couldn't, without enclosing this facility, you might as well should not do dehumidification. So that would be an item that, you know, it would just, the electric use would be off the chart to try to control that building any other way. So anyway, in your package, we've gone through the chiller, the Zamboni, all the mechanical, sprinkler system, electrical risers, space utilization. We spent a good amount of time with Bo going through the, you know, the flow, how the rink would flow and operate, Parks and Rec staff, what their needs are for offices and meeting space, and other uses that we've talked about. We've had the Mountain Bike Alliance. We've had people ask about pickleball and other summertime sports, but we feel that, you know, in the shoulder seasons, the summer, the shoulder seasons, we're going to be able to gain some additional usages, some additional revenue at the rink, and you know, really make this a 4-season facility, which is what our goal is. So and to make it financially self-sustaining. So as we went through, we came up with a budget. We picked out what was appropriate that's part of the recreation piece, which is about $700,000. We think with the additional revenue, that's easily covered, that portion through the enterprise fund, and we think that's appropriate. As the Friends, we are committed, as we noted before. I think Tom's last update to the board was 1.4 million. We're slightly above that. A little slow over Christmas, but we've had a few donations, and so we're getting close to $1.5 million or so. So we're a little over half of our target, and you know, we're committed. This is, of all the other public-private partnerships that Wolfeboro has ever done, you know, be it this building, which is a great building. You know, you guys, the kick-in from the Friends was about 16%. The library was about 26%, and we're at 38%. So this would be the single largest, not only percentage donation towards any public-private project, but dollar-wise and percentage-wise. So, and we're pretty committed to hitting that, and making sure this thing's ready to go and late in 2023, with any luck. Late in 2022, sorry. And do you guys have any questions for me?
I have a couple. Expected life of the new building.
I would think that as long as we maintain the environmental controls, you're typically, you know, in a 50, you got 35 out of a building that was not environmentally controlled. And really the thing that, you know, we had a huge code revision. You know, that building went from the snow load, as the EIA codes changed, went, you know, from a 50-pound snow load to what's, you know, a 63-pound base snow load. So it had a 20% increase, and now, obviously, by doing additions and other things, it complicates that scenario. But
And I think I asked this before. Are the Friends of Pop Whalen going to stay together and continue participating in not only managing the rink, helping, but financially assisting the rink going forward also?
our initial goal, I mean, we've been hit up by other people with other hey, can we do this at the rink?
Yeah.
And we're like, look, we need to get the building hardened. We need to do this. If, if you want to do that, we can do it as a phase 2 type project. So we have been approached regarding other projects that would further enhance the building. So I think that this would go on for a while.
I'd be looking more at your group staying together and helping with maintenance and large repairs and things going down the road. When we need a chiller again, if the Friends of Pop Whalen are there to help out with another 38%, that's what's going to make this a project that's going to be a public-private partnership going forward forever.
Forever's a long time, Brian. My take on it is we want to make sure this building as it sits, if we want to get this thing done, we want to make sure that the town is executing on the business plan, right? We want to help make sure that that's happening. If that's happening, this enterprise is creating an extra $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year in revenue. That was conservative. We're saying that in the other 6 months, this building only makes $30,000 through the entire spring, summer, and fall, essentially. That's all that's attributed, which was a very conservative, crack at that. And it's saying that 2023, which that financial report is based on, is our first year of operation. So we don't know, right? We don't know what kind of usage is that we will have. I did take a trip over to Claremont, which was a similar project. It was a town project that was done as a public-private partnership, and now it's run as a huge recreational center, and they've got yoga rooms and all racquetball, basketball, volleyball, all kinds of other things in there, tennis, pickleball, swimming. But they've created a whole operating group to run that. So I spent a lot of time with the director over there. He told me how they do it, and he's like, look, most of this is town and fee driven based on the users, but we still have a golf tournament every year, and we still do these other things, to make sure that we stay ahead of our operations and maintenance. So to answer your question, I don't think have any immediate desire to shut down, and we think there's going to be other requests as this project gains momentum. But we think also the building should financially support itself beyond. We didn't spend every nickel of our excess dollars on the improvements through the energy things that we're doing, the dehumidification and chiller modification and things. So there's still a good amount left. So
Yeah, I would just tie that up with, the chiller is estimated right now, if we were to replace it, it's a $750,000 expense. The chiller is approximately halfway through its useful life, so we firmly believe that it's a good chance to keep this in place, running, and then when it comes time to replace that, the efficiencies that we'll see is we're going to have a new chiller system, which will be much more energy efficient, which will be able to operate from a solar array in conjunction with primary power, reducing the electric footprint of that building. And, that's one of the biggest users of electricity in the town. That's a $60,000 a year budget approximately for electricity.
So, thank you. Just imploring, stay with us, because we're going to need you guys again in the future.
okay.
And here's one other one. This is ridiculous, and everybody's going to think it's ridiculous, but my son went through hockey there from the time he was 8 until the end of high school. Let's say this, the Arts Center, everybody's been there. It's been there now for a lot of years. It's still pristine. You walk in the door, and it looks like it did when you walked into the door 12 years ago. This new facility is going to have to operate maybe a little different, maybe not as many baseball games in the lobby, hockey games in the lobby with pucks flying around, kids that get upset after a game, slamming their sticks through walls and banging their equipment all over the wall, stuff like that. It's going to be something that the coaches and the kids in the community are going to have to take care of this building. It's a big nut, and I mean, I saw the stuff. I was there. I watched it. And kids are kids, and when they lose, they're upset, and when they're bored, they do things. So it's going to have to be something that we're really going to have to take care of. This is a big financial decision for the town.
Yeah, I think, you know, in talking to Jeff and the CCI, Mark, the CCI crew, they've done other rinks in the state and pretty familiar with, look, this needs to be a CMU wall, you know, a cement block wall and not drywall or plaster or something like that. So not only for the environmental aspect of what you're doing, you know, you've got warm areas and cold areas up against each other, but you have what you're talking about. You have, you know, somebody upset and they're banging things, and it needs to be resilient. And so, yeah, hopefully we'll make sure that that gets managed properly. So that'll be on our coaches and guys over here. So.
Yep.
Excuse me?
Hi, Tom Roberts. And just to expand on a couple of things Vic said, you know, we think we can generate an extra maybe $100,000 of revenue. One of the ways that we plan to do that is the hourly rates are quite low. We compared them to the other rinks in the state. So we feel like we can go to a higher rate for the rink. But for instance, Ham Arena's at $2.45 an hour, and we're proposing to go to $2.35 in our projection. And also in the advertising area, there's a lot of potential to increase the advertising income. All the dasher boards, we're proposing for those to go for $500 to $750, depending on the size. Again, Ham Arena's going for $1,400 a board, and that's something that you got to go out and hustle. And I think that's something, Brian, that, you know, as friends of Pop Whalen, we would hopefully set the precedent to get those 50 boards advertised. You know, the Nick currently has about 100 signs out there, so it's doable. But those are two areas where we could really increase the revenue for the operation of the rink.
On the east and west sides. So I just want people to understand that the whole thing isn't going to get destroyed, but that the ice surface and the boards stay, and you're going to be able to reuse some of the foundation from what Victor said. This there now where the trusses go up, and there'll be ones added to shorten the purlins up. Is that my understanding? Okay. just so everybody understands, it's not a total demolition of the whole hockey rink. Because that's what people are asking, at least questions I get. And I said, no, I didn't think that was it. And from what I see and all this information we have now, that indeed, the rink and the boards and everything stay where they are. Okay. You want to add to that?
My name is Jeff Downing. I'm president of Coniston Construction. We do approximately $30 million a year as a construction manager. Been in business 30 years. Some of the projects that you see in Wolfeboro is Town Hall, Meredith Village Savings Bank, Pickering House, and we're currently construction manager for the Taylor community for their expansion. I built this will be our 5th hockey rink if it goes forward, if the voters approve it. I was fortunate enough to rebuild the New Hampton School hockey rink. They had an open-air hockey rink, similar size facility. In 2016, that was a knockdown rebuild, and that was an $8 million project. So if this was a knockdown rebuild at current prices today, this would be in excess, well in excess of $10 million. So we are working pretty carefully to try to salvage what's there. The ice surface alone, the refrigerant surface with the PEX tube, and the insulation underneath it is worth about $600,000. And that's why the demolition has to be done very carefully. Save that. Brian, in reference to your comment about respecting the facility, New Hampton School's outdoor facility was pretty much a pig pen, and their program wasn't so hot. You couldn't walk into those locker rooms, they smelled so bad. After this facility was done, you can eat off the floor. It's a beautiful facility, and their hockey program is just unbelievable now. They recruit kids nationally. Kyla Barnes, who's a 2-time Olympian, and the kids respect the facility, and it's a great facility, and I think this will be too when it's done. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who wants to speak? I think Victor pretty much summed up everything. Okay, thank you for your time, and we are going to consider it. Yeah, public, well, that's what I was kind of asking. Does anybody want to add anything to this?
I do. In 2019, I agreed to fill the Board of Selectmen's position on the Friends of Pop Whalen Board. I started being involved with Back Bay hockey in the 1980s when my son and one of my daughters played hockey. In 1987, the town kids were just happy to have a roof over their outdoor ice rink and refrigeration to keep the ice. Back Bay hockey coaches, parents, community members volunteered their time, skill, and money to create an ice arena. And then, in around 1992, they donated the facility to the town. Now it is time for the town taxpayers to step up and renovate the Pop Whalen Ice Arena. I've been impressed and thrilled with the Friends' willingness to share their knowledge of the arena, to work with the town to assess the building, to provide the town its analysis of the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund's finances, and to problem solve with the town to address the unforeseen structural issue. It has been an excellent partnership between a private nonprofit entity and the town. I am in support of the proposed renovation, upgrade, and expansion to the Pop Whalen Ice Arena and Art Center, which will turn this facility from a winter venue into an all-year-round venue. I base my support on the Friends of Pop Whalen's business and financial plan. On page 19, I scrutinized the analysis of the 5-year review of the financial position of the Enterprise Fund, which showed that over a 6-year period from 2015 to 2020, that the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund lost only $5,313. On page 2 of the 2023 financial projected plan, I reviewed the 2021 unaudited budget figures. This analysis showed that the rental fees for the ice time recommended to the Board of Selectmen by the town manager produced an estimated unaudited surplus of about $54,000. The Friends financial projections for 2023 clearly show that the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund, with the appropriate fees for ice rental and usage time, can produce the revenue capable of covering its expense in the future. I believe the combination of the Friends of Pop Whalen's contribution of $2.7 million, the Pop Whalen Enterprise covering around $724,000, and the taxpayers covering around $3,550,000 is a solid plan to upgrade, renovate, and expand the Pop Whalen Ice Arena and Art Center into a year-round, multi-use facility serving the needs of the community. I support the Pop Whalen Ice Arena and Art Center warrant article for $6,972,951. And if I was sitting on the board, I would vote to recommend it. Now is the time to put this warrant article to the voters for their support.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other public input? Okay. What do we want to do?
I move the warrant article forward.
Okay. Have a second?
Second. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of moving it forward? Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
And Dave, can you just vote to recommend or not to recommend as well?
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to recommend the amount?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
So just to button that up, Dave, thank you. Tomorrow night, we'll go through a similar presentation with the Budget Committee. And just to make the board and the citizens aware, Parks and Rec is now going to start planning some tours of the facility. Parks and Rec is going to make contact with Wolfeboro Community TV to get a walkthrough of the facility so people will be able to see it before we go to vote. If anybody has any questions about the facility, either A, go to the facility, take a walkthrough, look at it. This is your tax dollar being spent. Come to my office, give me a call at the town manager's office, or reach out to the Friends of Pop Whalen. This is an exciting opportunity for the community, and thank the board for the support, and we'll be moving forward with it.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, public input. Do I have anybody in the audience who'd like to give us any public input at this time? Hearing and seeing none, I'll move on to the next item, bulk vote. We have nothing listed. The next item on the agenda is the board committees and appointments. We do not have anything scheduled. And we're under new business A, water and sewer capacity memo, Public Works. Mr. Pinio, are you, oh, Mr. Ford's here.
Yeah, Dave's here to talk to this.
Madam Chair, I'm going to step down as I have a development before the zoning board right now.
Thank you.
Good evening. Dave Ford.
Dave, do you want to wait just a minute and we'll get these people out so we can make sure we can hear you?
Okay, Dave Ford with the Public Works and Water and Sewer Utilities Department. There's been a lot of discussion lately about water and sewer capacity dealing with certain projects. Kathy Barnard sent me an email asking about the specific question, and I gave her a quick answer, and then realized we really should be paying much more attention to this issue. So I talked to Jim about it, and I thought it was very important that we write a letter to you for the ZBA. I know there was this big project that's on the board, but it's kind of, we've been so busy and consumed with the effluent disposal project for the last 10 years, and we kind of forget about the details. So I think, Linda, you do recall, you were on the board in 2005 and 6 when we had the sewer moratorium and a water moratorium. And it took a few years to resolve those issues, and we continue to working on them. But now, the progress we made, we get the sewer down with the I&I projects and down to 400,000 gallons a day. Our problem is coming with the effluent disposal. When we designed the new facility, we had to downgrade it to meet the site conditions, and the long-term plan was to retire the spray area. And that's where our capacity could come for future use. However, that's going to come with a price. And I don't think we should be looking at that as a given. Our system is small. We have a certain amount of customers. We have another phenomenon that's happening over the last 3 years, which is the growth of water and sewer, not just from new construction, but from existing homes. People are staying longer, more, where there might have been just a summer home, now they're year-round homes. We see more people working remotely, and we think that trend is going to continue. And that's concerning because we have so many vacant houses. A lot of people, it is their second homes. And maybe over 50% of our houses could be second homes. And a lot of them are connected to the water sewer. So what I am working on now, we are doing upgrades to the sewer pump stations. So we are going to be looking at the capacities of the sewer pump stations, making sure they can handle anything that would be a build-out. But the concern really comes in the effluent disposal and in the treatment process and making sure we know what our capacity is. And then we have to go back to spending money on the sewer I&I. We still have a lot of infiltration into the system. Because of our priorities, we've gone for the sewer pump stations. Right after that, next year, we'll have to go back to I&I because we'll get back some of our capacity with that. Until that time, we should be very careful, and we should consider a moratorium on any large projects that would go beyond what we have right now. And I mean, for instance, if you have a one lot, which may be 2 acres, one house is fine. 70 condo units, not fine. We should put a moratorium on any big project until we know the answer to the question. And it's a complicated question because we not only have to look at what hasn't been built upon, but what is unoccupied and could be used that's already connected. And looking at the trends we've seen over the last 3 years, like you said, the water use back in 2006 and 7, we were averaging 650,000 gallons a day. We had got that down because we had a lot of leaks, and we had a lot of people using water with low rates. We had increased the rates. We had conservation measures taken in place. A lot of people started looking at that and reduced water. So we got our average daily flow for the full year down to 400,000 gallons a day just 4 years ago. But within the last 3 years, we've seen that grow up to 520,000. That's an incredible amount of growth. There is a lot of construction going on, we know that. There's a lot of renovations, and there's a lot of people staying longer, but there's also leaks. We have an old system. So we're back to this unaccounted for water. Again, we've been focusing, we haven't done any, so now we're back to that. We've applied for a grant to do a water audit next year, so we've got to continue working on that. At the same time, we're looking at doing the master plan for the water system to look at Upper Beach Pond, to look at its capacity, long-term, and again, to look at these trends to see where our capacity is. We feel we have 650,000 as our capacity. When we get to 610, we would then have to look at potential expansion or looking at additional sources or looking at no more connections. So the big decisions would be, anyone that has a lot that's on the system, we should be able to guarantee them one connection for that. But they shouldn't be guaranteed that the maximum use for that lot, based on current zoning or based on potential changes to the zoning. That could be, if someone rushes in with the big projects, it could take the allocation away from someone somewhere else. And those are big decisions, and I think we need to have more data so that you can make the decision what to do. In the interim, we should consider slowing things down, My hope is that we're working with the scopes of work with both engineers. HDR is going to be working on the wastewater, and Taylor and Howe is going to be working on the water system. So I have to have those underway this spring and have some results, by late summer, so that we can then have a better understanding, and when I can answer those questions with confidence. And then we can also look at the potential for growth within the water sewer, what's there, and what, if any, changes we'd want to make to those allocations. Doing a lot of talking. I'd like to take any questions, if you have any questions.
I guess I have one. So you're talking about the time frame to get this information to us is this summer?
Correct.
That we'll have that, and you're also doing a rate study, so we'll have an idea on where we're going to go with rates?
Rates is coming sooner. That's underway right now.
Okay.
We hope to be here in February with the rates, because we had put off on the rate. The good news is because we're using more water, we're getting more income. So that's the good news. So that's why not having the rate increase has not hurt us financially, so we're still doing okay. But we do need to go forward with all the big projects we're proposing, even with the amount of SRF grants and loans. We still will be looking at the 2%, if not a little bit more, on the water rate increases. So yes, that'll be coming, and then this will be coming later. This is a pretty detailed study. It has to be done. What we have done in the past were different types of studies, and they were done over 15 years ago. That's why they do need to be upgraded.
And that'll take in backland, if backland is developed. My understanding is we did the survey of the growth of the town really on the road, and that there are now backlots. Are the plan that you're going to put out account for backlots, or how many of those that we could?
It would be, if they're within the distance in which they would be required to tie in.
Okay.
So, for instance, there could be some unusual pieces of land that may be just a little off, and they might want to be connected, like Harriman Hill. That was a project that really didn't have frontage. Water and sewer is extended to that project. It was right on the fringe. So we're going to be looking at anything that can be serviced with frontage, and then we'll see the other potential parcels that are outside. But if you're not on frontage, you're not guaranteed water or sewer at this point. We do have plenty of water. I think that's not sewage is really our issue, and the need to make sure the RIB is working properly, understand where we are with the spray area and in terms of groundwater permits.
Would you be able to then also give us a kind of a cost estimate in terms of keeping up that spray field, if that is our other potential for more sewer hookups? Somewheres we need to be able to weigh, the cost.
What's interesting is, yes, the short term, it's one of those things, we've run it to its beyond its useful life. So I can run it for another year, keep the Band-Aids going, but it has to get retired. So our hope was to get the pond down, get the RIBs working, and we are okay for the flows we are now and for moderate growth. The question becomes if we want a big project, for instance, the low, affordable housing project that was talked about, that might require us to invest $1 million into the spray area to change it, because spray area would no longer be acceptable. We'd be looking at something different, and it would be a big project to get back that groundwater discharge.
And you could give us an estimate of what that
Those
would
numbers will
cost.
be, yes.
You got to weigh different things out. I know we already had, when I first came on the board, there was already designed for a water plant on Clark Road. So there was some initial work at that point. We had so many leaky pipes, and we had drought, and the pond was down. That's when the state came in with the water moratorium on us.
Correct.
Board members, Brad?
Dave, quick question for you. Up at the RIB site, is there any potential for any more added basins up there, RIBs, or are we pretty much maxed out at, I think we have 5 up there now?
The problem is not so much, the top of the hill, it's the bottom of the hill. And while we are hopeful that the rehabilitation might give us more, I am not going to push it. We're going to study it very slowly. So right now we have the 340,000 gallons a day. We're going to be looking at a renewal in 2023. So through 2022, we're going to be studying. Wright Pierce is going to be continuing. Not Wright Pierce.
Better not.
Underwood Engineers.
Out of nowhere.
Underwood Engineers will continue working with us through the warranty period, studying, because we have a lot of monitoring wells looking at that. And then when we go for the renewal permit, the question is, can the existing system take more? Right. That's what we're hopeful for. So the 340 might go up to 400,000, but I don't see us going much more than that. So there might be a little bit of growth there, but there's no room for additional basins on that site.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
We should, I think another thing too, we have 300 acres at the spray area site. That's how much we own. We only spray over 100 acres, and we've cut that down to 42 acres now of the best land. As we're letting the rest of the land dry up, other people are starting to use that land, which we do have to.
Well, we haven't yet.
You might want to keep me involved in that, because we do want to think about the spray area, at least going for one more year, might be long. And then the question is, if it were to be, and it was always the intent, that will be our future. So we will have something to look towards, and how much there is there, and how much we can get out of that will be part of that question we'll look at, and how much it would cost. But right now, we are kind of limited, so we should be very careful about that growth.
And Dave, absolutely you should be involved, but it would have been nice also if the Board of Selectmen had been involved when those trails started to get built. So, yes.
When we get to that, yeah.
Yeah, we need to make sure we keep a hold of that nice open area.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Next item on the agenda is the deliberative session, and the board needs to set the dates. February 8th, 2022 has been suggested. And Jim, do you remember, did we start at 6:30 or 7?
I believe the moderator likes to start at 7. I will verify that with him. And we have been in contact and confirmed the Art Center.
Okay, and then we usually had 2 days later, we have a snow date, that would be the 10th.
Yep.
So, board members, I need a motion from somebody to schedule the deliberative session on February 8th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Kingswood Art Center, and snow date of February 10th.
So
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Only thing I want to inform the public, we will be following the school district's COVID policies, whatever it is at that particular time. Okay. Next item is the dispatch console warrant article. And Jim, I'm going to pass that over to you.
So I had a conversation with Chief Rondo regarding the dispatch console. The chief is here this evening as well. Also, he had a conversation with Commissioner Wood regarding this. As of today, the Capital Reserve Fund has $342,803 in it. The chief, when he went through the CIP process this summer, had an estimated replacement cost of $352,000 for the dispatch console. And with the acquisition of the recorder at an estimated $40,000 this year, that's an item that won't need to be replaced. So that means if we subtract that out, that we're going to have an excess of $30,803 in that account if we were to do the console today based on the cost estimate. The chief is concerned about escalation. I completely understand that. But I think based on what we have for funding in the account, what's occurred with the acquisition of the new recorder, and I think it's a good opportunity to back this particular warrant article out. I did have a conversation with the chief, and I assured him that if we do have a catastrophic failure with the dispatch console, and for some reason the costs are beyond what we have in the Capital Reserve Fund, we would absolutely work with them to offset that cost through the general fund budget. Chief is here to speak to this as well, and any questions that you may have, you can address to myself or the chief.
So a couple of things, and I just want to go over a real quick timeline with the board, and then deal with any questions or concerns that the board or anyone else may have. So just real quick, just to give a background, a foundation on how we got here. So when I became chief in 2017, this is one of the first, if you will, crises that happened. Hey, we got bad news that the dispatch console was failing or likely to fail and was beyond service and upgrade and so forth and so on, and most of you understand that part. So we started putting money away at approximately 102,000 a year. That was the original plan. And that worked fairly well. And that, if we had done that for 4 years, that would have given us approximately $408,000 in that neighborhood, which is a respectable neighborhood. And I think that was a pretty good number, right? And one of the issues that I'm always concerned with are once we start getting into deinstallation, reinstallation, ripping stuff out and putting stuff back in, we know we're going to break things, things are going to break, there's going to be unexpected repairs, so forth and so on. And I just wanted a little bit extra in there to handle that. And then we started talking about, well, maybe this makes sense to coincide with the building of a new public safety building, a new police station, so forth and so on. So we decided to go ahead and push it back a year, right, to try and eke out another year existence out of that dispatch console. Then, of course, the dispatch console failed, right? We had that catastrophic failure. We came up with some quick solutions. We were able to get some parts from a town in Maine that had essentially just done the same thing. They had updated their existing dispatch console, and they were willing to sell us the parts that we needed for about $10,000. So 85% of that existing dispatch console was either rebuilt or replaced. So what we have now is a Franken unit, right? We've got parts from a newer but compatible console, and about 15 or 20% of our old console still in existence, right? And this thing is being held together by Bailey wire and bubble gum and hopes and dreams. And we're trying to get this to last as long as we can for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? We're trying to buy time is what we're doing. Now, enter in here the public safety building. The original plan was to replace the console in 2022. Then we said, okay, let's do it in 2023 to coincide with the public safety building. Then the public safety building got pushed back a few years, and that's where we're at right now. Now, if the public safety building, police station, if you will, whatever happens, because I don't know what eventually is going to happen with the voters and so forth and so on, but should the police station go forward as planned, I think we can look at the dispatch console, the police station, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, being completed in 2024 or sometime in early 2025.
That is the anticipated schedule at this point.
So what that means is that we're going to try and put this dispatch console, this new console now, in that time period to coincide with the building. This will probably be the last thing that gets installed, right? Because we don't want to be doing the spackling and the painting and stepping over the dispatch console while we're trying to do that, right? That wouldn't make sense. So we're really talking about putting something off for a good 3 or 4 years, 4 more years. Now, right now we're okay. Now, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and neither does anybody else. With that being said, just keep in mind that the CPI nationally increased 5.9%. Here in New Hampshire, 6.2%, right? That's inflation. Costs are going up, and we're talking about something 4 years down the road. Jim is indeed correct. The updated, I'm looking at the updated Motorola Solutions estimate right now, is $351,916.15. The bold move that we did this year, which was to spend $18,000 out of the dispatch budget, which was unexpended appropriations, and purchase a portion of the recording system, which we desperately needed, saved us $30,000, which is good. That was a good expenditure. So we lowered it at one end, and we were able to use unexpended appropriations this year to do it, and that was approved by the police commission and the town manager. I think that was a wise move. That being said, and I know this is a tough year, right? I know, and we want to be team players, so I'm in favor of removing this from the budget. But I want everybody here to understand that we removed this $50,000 from the budget. We may have cost overruns in 3 or 4 years down the road, should we make it that far. Please understand that if the dispatch console has a catastrophic failure tomorrow, we've got to rip that system out because it's now a boat anchor, right? It's not worth anything. It's trash. And we've got to put the new system in. And we should plan on approximately $50,000 per installation or deinstallation. Now, right now, I have an installation included in this price. But that means that if we build a new police station in 3 years after tomorrow, or 4 years after tomorrow, I got to rip this system out again and put it back in, all right? And that's more money. That's why we're trying to wait and do it just once and maybe save a little bit of money. So I'm willing to roll the die and take the risk. And so that is where we're at. But I'm totally in favor of doing what the town manager suggested. I think it's a good idea. I think he's right. I think right now we have enough money if it were to fail tomorrow. If it fails a year from now, I don't know. If it fails 2 years from now, we're probably going to need some help and assistance. And as long as the board is going to recognize that and stand with us, that'll be good. The last thing I want to say is that once this system is in place, we really should consider putting away $20,000 or $25,000 per year. Hopefully we'll get another 20 years or 23 years, whatever this turns out to be. You know, we've had a good run with this system. At the end of the day, when you think about it, this system that we're using, or at least 15 to 20% of the system that we're using, was built in 2001, which was finally installed in the PD, up and running by 2005. So this system that or at least 15% of it is a good 20, 21 years old. The other 85% is getting on 17 years old. So we've gotten our money's worth, without a doubt. We've gotten our money's worth out of this product. I'm hopeful that we'll get 20 years out of this. With that being said, 20 or 25,000 will put us between, in 20 years, will put us between $400,000 and $500,000, which again is a respectable neighborhood. And then we won't have this crisis ever again. So I think we need to do that. So next year I'll probably come to the board with a warrant article for $20,000 or $25,000 to start saving for the future. This is an expensive piece of equipment. I don't know what it's going to cost in 20 years, but it's going to be more than $300,000. It's probably going to be more like $400,000 or something in that neighborhood. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have, subject to your questions.
Anybody have any questions for Dean? Thank you for being willing to, oh, you do. Brian.
So a quick question. The $351,916, is it a thing that when you buy it, installation is included? Or
One
is
installation.
Or is it something that is a line item that they say installation costs $35,000, $40,000, whatever?
No, it's included in the, yes, it is. It is a line item, and it's included in the original.
Okay, so it's a line item.
Yeah, and in fact, I believe you should have this in your budget book because it came in with the background data. I made sure that we sent it in.
So I may have asked it before. Is it possible to not spend that installation cost now, but to take the unit and purchase it? If we had a storage area for it, is it worth buying it now so it is here, so that if you have a catastrophic failure, it can be put in our police station?
Oh, yeah,
but if
okay.
not, it can be left to install in the new building 2 years down the road?
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I don't think that's essentially what they did with the one that we have now. I want to say that it was you got to remember, I was in between wars back then, but I want to say that they talked about it in late 2001, put it in the budget, purchased it in 2002. It came in, it sat in the garage for better part of 2 years. And that was not a good idea. That was really not a good idea. Because there's a lot of things that can happen to First of all, this thing is huge. It comes in a whole bunch of, it literally took up the entire Sally Port. So the other thing I do want to mention too, just so we're all on the same sheet of music, is remember that when we did this estimate in 2017, 2018 timeframe, the original estimate, we were planning on putting the console in the existing
Building.
work area, workspace that we have. If the system is still operational by 2024, my recommendation is that falls back to we marry that with the consulate from the fire department, and then that stays as a redundant piece of communication. The primary piece of communication is the new dispatch console. But regardless, we're going to need new furniture going in. That's not part of this.
Well, but when you go into a new building, we would put furniture in with that warrant article.
That's what we, well,
You know, this is a console, it goes up there, we take it up. Part of that bond issue would include whatever furnishings and stuff that you had, and if it was installed here and we needed it to be installed up there, I would wrap that all into what the bond issue was for the new police station, because that's what the cost would be.
oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
You see
no,
what
I
I'm
got
saying?
it. Okay.
It's different than, you know, if you're where you were. Yeah.
You did a flyby, but I got it. I got it. The light dawned.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so we need a motion to retract it?
I think you need a motion to remove it, sir.
I am. I'm just going to check to see if everybody is in
And
line.
I think, and Steve, by the way, it was fortuitous that Jim sent the email to me because I happened to be on the phone with the chairman of the police commission, so we did discuss it. He's aware of it. He is supportive of it, and we think it's a good idea. We want to be team players, and we know that there's a lot of competing issues here.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Dave, I think you have a motion, don't
Yeah,
you?
I have a motion that we remove Article 33 to do with the dispatch console.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty. We've removed it. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Dean.
much, Dean. Okay, next item on the agenda is the Pop Whalen contingent warrant article. This one, I think, is yours, Jim.
Yep. The only thing I would tie up to the end of the chief's conversation is I do fully anticipate him coming forward through next year's CIP process with an updated pricing model, which may require more funds to be going in, but that's no problem. We'll deal with that then. So one of the things that I'm really concerned about is if this public hearing that we had this evening regarding the Pop Whalen Ice Arena fails, we have no funds to be able to continue forward with any work. So what I'd like to propose to the Board of Selectmen is considering adding a new warrant article, and it will read as follows. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of further architectural and engineering design work at the Pop Whalen Ice and Arts Center. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32.7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31, 2023, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Should warrant Article 11, Pop Whalen renovation and expansion project bond pass by a 3/5 majority, this article for $50,000 shall be null and void.
I think it is a good warrant article. We had talked about if the bonded warrant article went down, we'd have no money to do anything. And this seemed to be a reasonable amount of money to still be able to look at architectural and design. So I'm in support of it. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns about it?
No.
Okay. Who's brave enough to give me a motion?
I'll make a motion to add new Article 33, the Pop Whalen contingency funds, as the town manager just read to us, to be added to our warrant.
Second?
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll move that we place a warrant article, the new warrant article 33 on the 2022 warrant. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're moving on. The next thing we have received a petition warrant article.
Yes. So we've received a petition warrant article. I will read the article. The town clerk has verified the signatures are greater than 25 registered voters in the town. And the article is as follows. Are you in favor of the Board of Selectmen appointing members to the Zoning Board of Adjustment to allow filling these elected and volunteer positions that have become very difficult to fill as a result of qualified people not running as allowed in accordance with state statute RSA 673(3), majority vote required? That's the warrant article.
We have no authority other than to put it on the warrant, and we usually don't put anything as to whether to recommend or not.
Correct.
So it will go just on as is. Other business, I have a couple. Did everybody get the picture, which was emailed? Yeah. And was that okay? Was it clear enough for everybody? We'll go forward with that? Okay. Takes care of that one. We also need to set the date for the taping of the warrant article. Let's see if I left.
Yeah, so the original date that we had, the time does not work. So we're going to have to look at another date. Thursdays in the afternoons are bad, and I know Dave is unavailable on Thursdays. So with that said, we've got a fairly tight window next week, 18th, 19th, and the 21st, and then it would be on to the following week, which would be the 24th of January.
I think that gets too late. I mean, we're doing it in order for it to get out so people can hear it. I think other years we did it before the Selectmen's meeting. That would be the 19th. We get it here, come out, do it, have pizza or something for dinner, and then go on into our Selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, we usually had pizza up there.
Yeah, well, we're going to be down here, so
Well,
I
that's
hope
right.
they'll bring it down here this time, don't you think?
Well, I would hope so.
I think so, too.
Closer.
Yes. I was thinking the 19th. What are you, the 19th? It's Wednesday. We have a Selectmen's meeting at 6:30. Maybe start that at 4. I don't know how long it's going to take us. We got a lot of warrant articles.
I would
You want earlier?
want more time. I would
3
think
o'clock?
2:30, 3 o'clock.
3?
3?
3 o'clock.
Can everybody, Luke?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Brad? Okay.
That'll work.
So we're going to do it 3 o'clock on January 19th here. And Jim, you want to arrange for dinner?
I will get it taken care of.
Okay.
Good. Make sure we get some good ones.
Okay, I think that's the only, does anybody else have any other business?
I just have one thing to say. The plan from Victor Druin was excellent, his business plan. And I'm wondering if the members from our board that are on the Friends of the Libby, if they can bring this forward to the Friends of the Libby as an example to show them what can be done and what we kind of need going forward.
Actually, I already kind of thought of that as this meeting was going along here. That'd be a good to make them aware of this presentation, how it's being, presented and, brought forward and everything, so.
This is an excellent template for them going forward.
You might ask them to watch the the budget committee or the deliberative session to see it. And are we going to put that up on the website? Can we put that plan up on the website so people can access it? You know, I think we want to get as much up there as we can.
Yep. Now that we've got a solid direction from the meetings last week with the construction manager, we will get this rolling with the information that we received tonight.
Okay. I'm going to skip committee reports because it hasn't been that long, and I'll just turn it over to you, Jim, for any town manager report you might have.
No, I'm all set. It's just
Okay, good.
working on the warrant.
Do we have the press here? Nope, I don't see the press. Public input.
Mr. Pinio was kind enough to send me the MOU for the Pop Whalen, and as I read it, it could be incorrect, but it looks like it was for work that's done up to this point, the engineering. And so the question is, are we going to get another one for going forward? Can that be done before the deliberative session?
I will have a conversation with Friends of Pop Whalen to see if we can get a draft.
Yeah.
The way that this one is worded, once the Banwell contract expires, that's when it goes away. So we're still working under that existing document, but I would anticipate we have one when we transition to construction, absolutely.
That would be helpful, because you know I'll be asking that question again.
Well, but we as a board also need to have that. So that makes sense that when we get into that, that we do have MOUs when we operate with some other nonprofit private entity.
Okay. And the other thing was I brought to your attention is I'm not so sure that this got advertised in the Manchester Union Leader. And if that's the case, you'll...
Yeah, I've got the print from Amy. I will verify it tomorrow. It was in the January 5th edition.
I did the best I could. Your website said, because I couldn't find it in our paper, and the website said it was posted as of the 4th in the Manchester Union Leader. So I went before and after looking for it, and I couldn't find it. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I couldn't find it. And
Well, Jim, as I recall, we had already posted a meeting on the 19th, if we run in.
Yeah, I will verify all this tomorrow.
well, it has to be, the date has to show for tonight, not previously.
We noticed a possibility of a meeting on the 19th. On the 11th, we were supposed to have noticed a meeting for the 19th.
Yeah, but the statute 33, whatever the heck it is, 33.8, I think it is, said it has to be posted in a newspaper of general circulation in the municipality. So you couldn't do that. You missed that date. So you do what the town sometimes does that drives
I understand why you...
But, so it went in the Manchester Union Leader, but I'm not sure that it did.
What I'm saying is they were also supposed to put in a notice by January 11th to notice a meeting, a public hearing on the 19th, in case we were unable to have the meeting and we didn't have everything for tonight.
Okay.
So
What paper was that in?
that, I don't...
Should have been, I'll verify
And he's going to
everything
check to
tomorrow.
make sure, so if the 5th wasn't noticed, if the one for the 19th came in, we can just quickly go do that.
Okay.
I think Amy's talking.
Amy?
Good evening. This was posted, and we usually put our bonds in the Union Leader because the Grand State only goes once a week, so it's complicated to make those turnaround times that we're required for. So I do have a copy of the tear sheet where this was noticed in the Union Leader on January 5th.
On January 5th, or, on January 5th for the 12th, okay. So you have a copy of the confirmation?
I do, and both of those hearings, the prior hearing was also a union leader because of the dates.
Okay.
I
You,
used to put them as a courtesy in the Granite State, but because of the increases, I don't do that anymore, it's too costly, just as a courtesy.
thank you, Amy.
We will verify the print. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public input? Hearing none. Dave, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Sure we can't buy the unit now. It goes up 5% a year for the next 2 years. Now we're looking at another $35,000. Just put it in your garage.
No,
Why not?
but things expired, CDF, whatever. I agreed with you.